What up, everybody? Hey, every once in a while you find a knife. We all do this. There's something about this knife, some feature, some design cue, aesthetic, a feel, a material, blah, blah, blah. It could be multiple different things that you really, really, really like about this knife. But the knife is not perfect. We all find them. And the one you see in front of you right now is one of those. This is a Dicoria Sinkevich Do. That's D-O model. It is the same overall model that Zero Tolerance is doing as a 0427 limited edition release. I initially thought maybe this was a clone knife, but from what I understand from a couple of different sources that I will not say are 100% reliable, but I think I'm about the 60 percentile mark on that. That this is actually a licensed version or copy of Sinkevich's actual Doe model. This has nothing to do with the Zero Tolerance 0427. It just happens to be based off of the same design from Sinkevich around the same time frame. I may or may not be right about that. It really doesn't affect what I'm getting ready to tell you about the knife. So this is a titanium frame lock folder. It's a sizable folder. It's right at about 4-inch blade length. It's 9 inches overall. The weight, I don't have a scale to weigh it, but the listing had it at 162 grams, which is 5.7 ounces. To me, it feels slightly heavier than that. I would have guessed it at least about 6.2 ounces or 6.5 ounces. But that could have to do with the way the knife feels in hand, and I will get into that later on in the video. It's got heavy blade stock on my calipers of doom from Harbor Freight. I got, what did I get? I got 198 thousandths, I believe, 195 thousandths, which is 4.8 millimeters, right at 5 millimeters. And the handle thickness is 590 thousandths, or slightly more than half an inch, or about 15 millimeters. So it's a sizable knife. And it feels not big in the hand, but this is one of the most substantial feeling frame lock folders I've ever owned. We'll take a look at it here. First, let's just take a look at it. This is it's titanium scales. They are done in a bead blast finish. Those are over a titanium backspacer, and we're going to get into that backspacer because it's very special. You have a milled titanium pocket clip that is stone wash finish, not bead blast like the frame. And I think that's more to fit in with the blade finish. I believe stainless hardware, and it's in a bead blast, a fine bead blast finish on the pivot, and just a machine finish on the smaller screws all over the knife. The blade, like I say, is 4.8 millimeter stock is what I got. It is in M390, which we know is, arguably the standard in high-performance stainless steels. It's a third generation powder metallurgy steel with very high performance and very high corrosion resistance. I believe that the makers like it. It's pretty easy to grind. I believe it takes multiple finishes very well. It can be hardened fairly hard. I believe this one was right around the 60-61 range is what it was supposed to be. The overall fit and finish of the knife is high-end Chinese CNC builds. I believe that it is, in my example at least, it is equal to Kaiser, Wee, those types of knives. And it's got all the standard features. Like I say, it's titanium. It's got the hardened steel lock bar insert. Some very good jimping on the back of this flipper tab. I'm going to tell you right now, this jimping, I don't know if you can see that, but ooh, that is some jimping right there, guys. And the detent, the action, and the lockup are damn near perfect on this knife. It is butter smooth. The centering is perfect. Lockup is early, about 20 or 25%, and very solid. There's no play in any direction. So overall, you know, the quality is there in this piece, and I think it sits well in with American-made products like Zero Tolerance, a company that does a lot of titanium frame locks, and then the upper-end Chinese companies like Kaiser and Riate and Wee knives. It's just spot-on machining. The finishing is damn near perfect on it. The finish is damn near perfect on it. Quality materials, quality blade steel, a beautiful design. All right. On that, I can recommend the purchase of this knife at the price, which is less than $200. Less than $200 for this blade, M390, in a heavy stock. It's almost 5mm stock. And some design features that I'm getting ready to show you which make this a stand-apart knife. And the first one is, this does not have, if you'll look here in the top, you don't see any stock pins. Okay, this has a captured stock pin, and it is blade captured. The stock pin, dadgummit, that detent is good. The stock pin is pressed into the blade, I believe, and it opens. You see it coming around, coming around, coming around, coming around, coming around, and then it's going to go up into the pocket up in the top of the handle. So you've got a more than 180-degree contact point on both sides of the pin in that open and closed position. Like I say, the detent and everything is freaking perfect on this thing. You saw I had a hard time opening it up like that next to the camera. The next thing I'm going to show you that I think is so very impressive in the hand and on the knife is this backspacer. Now, you see it's got a bunch of nice millwork in it here, and it's different kind of millwork here. It's proud here, and you know, nearly flush here, and you've got the machine reveal from the scales and an integral lanyard hole. But what you're not seeing is this is a huge monolithic integral type backspacer. I want you to look right here. Okay, look down through there. That is one solid piece of titanium. One solid piece of titanium. You can't see crap there, but I'm telling you right now, that is one solid piece of titanium. And the shape of this backspacer under this scale is, it's wide here at the butt, it ramps up, comes to a narrow section where it's inset, totally inset into the back of the scales. It comes up here and ends. Each of these two screws for the handle scales are accompanied by a pin on each side, a locating pin, and the machining is very good on it. That backspacer is huge and thick, and it's beautiful. It is brutally beautiful. The way that the handle scales are overlaid and the backspacer is inset into the back of the handle scales. I don't know if you can see here. If you can catch a reflection, it is completely clean and completely flush. It is very well machined. The inside of that knife is very clean. So what you get is you get this fantastic integral type feature without the huge price of the difficulties in manufacturing of a full integral frame. All right, they're still able to sandwich this together so they don't have a hard time dealing with the pivot bearings, the whole system, whatnot, working without being able to open it up. And this way they can open it up, but you still get this integral feature. And it is a big old thick, the shape of the handle scale, the way it matches, not in shape but in design with that back strap. This thing is a beast, and that's why I say it feels heavier in hand. I really wish I could weigh that knife. I'm going to have to buy a set of scales just to weigh this knife, because there is no way that's just 5.7 ounces. If it is, I'm going to have my hands recalibrated. Alright, so I've been gushing about this knife for about 11 minutes now. But I started out the video by saying there's something wrong. And there is something wrong. Okay? It is not a manufacturing issue. I think it is more a design issue. And it's not in the profile per se, but it is in certain spots on the profile. The way the edges have been finished causes very bad hot spots. You will not want to do hard work with this knife. Alright, I don't want to take away from the design of the knife, the build of the knife, the functionality. It's all nearly perfect. I will show you these two things because you deserve to know in a knife that's going to be 180 to 190 bucks. Alright, we have two major hot spots on this knife. Both of them are caused by design. Alright, the first is you have in the width of the handle, not the thickness, but the width, you have the palm swell right here. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. Now I want you to see the way the edge of this scale is broken. That is a very, very tight radius on how the edge of that scale is broken. Now, that is what makes the edge of that scale look so clean and industrial in the design. Okay, it's done on purpose. It is part of the design. But I'm going to show you right here what the issue is, and that is in the lock bar tension cutout. And that's the rear and forward corner of that cutout. As it's come through the edge of that scale, it creates two pretty sharp little ridges right here, right there. They will scrape nail off of my fingernail. They're pretty sharp. Again, it's not, there's nothing wrong with the way it's made. It's machined perfectly. That just needed to be chamfered right there. All right, and basically this edge is not super comfortable anyway. It's very crisp. It's not sharp in any way or anything. It's pleasant to touch. It's been bead blasted and it's soft feeling, but that's a pretty sharp radius to finish that edge with, in a non-moving, non-giving material like titanium. Okay, so not a huge issue. So what? I'm not going to work with this knife. Look at it. It's badass. I'm not going to, break down 50 cardboard boxes with it. I'm just going to carry it because it's badass. And that's cool. Let's look at the second spot. This pocket clip. Man, this thing is cool looking. This angular, sort of monolithic almost, big, overly heavy, huge thing. It's got a terrible hot spot, and this is even worse than the other, and it's this corner right here. I want you to look down the plane of this knife. Okay, that corner is right up at the edge of the handle. Okay, it is right up there. So when you hold it, okay, all right, you hold that knife, that corner presses into your hand. Okay, and if you hold that for a while, All right. Okay. It's gonna, it's gonna be an irritant. It's gonna be a hot spot there. And that's too bad too. That's too bad because I want to go and break down a bunch of cardboard and chop down a tree with this knife. Actually, I don't. This knife is beautiful for what it is. It is a fantastic knife. High-end materials, high-end fit and finish. The action is, it's butter smooth. It's a set of bearings that you cannot even feel. They feel totally hydraulic. The detent is perfect. It is perfect. The feel in the knife and the sound it makes as those stop pins, as that blade rotates around and the stop pins slam home. It's just solid, solid, solid. And then the balance of the knife, there's a characteristics in the balance that you just, I don't know if it's just mental for me or what, but this big old one-piece backspacer, this just big, huge hunk of machined titanium, it makes it feel so damn good. It makes it feel so good in the hand. So you've got a mixed bag. Everything about the knife is fantastic except those two hot spot problems. All the grinds were good on the blade. The finish is good. It's in, I don't know if that is etched and then lightly stone washed or bead blasted and then lightly stone washed. It's not very dark. It's pretty light. The stone wash over it, I'm trying to catch a light right there, is not heavy. Yeah, I don't know. It could be a light acid etch and then stone wash, or it could be bead blast. I don't know. But it's utilitarian rather than dressy looking. This grind right in here, up under the thumb ramp, it is more in the as ground finish. Maybe, it's bead blast, but it still is more. It's a little shinier finish. It's hard to catch, but it is slightly shinier than the flats on the blade. I love that big pivot. Look at that. Yeah, it takes a dedicated tool. Guess what? Comes with it. Hell yeah, it's a little bit of wee happening right there. Dicoria, yeah. The rest is Torx. It's all Torx. And I haven't had to do anything with it. I haven't even washed the pivot out and re-lubricated this knife. It came slightly stiff. I dropped 2 drops of oil into the pivot, and I've worked it for a couple of days, and yeah, that's good stuff right there. That's good stuff right there, and a badass looking knife. Nothing wrong with the build, fit, and finish. High-end materials, high-end blade steel, and you know what? I'm still going to recommend this knife, even with the little hot spot issues. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to carry this knife. This knife is one of those that you can pull out, and it will impress anybody, even another knife enthusiast. It will impress them. It's a beautiful Sinkevich design, very well rendered, at a decent price point with great materials. I'm going to recommend this one, and God, I hope it's not a clone. I'll never hear the end of this. But I appreciate you, everybody watching. Sub, send your friends. I'm trying to get this thing rolling, and God bless you. Goodbye.